car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Yes, indeed. The thrilling theme song for Frontier Motors as we launch another show here on News Talk 1370 WCOA, brought to you and paid for by our friends at Frontier Motors. In fact, one of our friendliest friends is with us right now, ready, willing, and certainly more than able to take any phone calls from you if you'd like to ask about the price of a car, truck, or SUV that you're thinking of buying or selling or trading in. You would dial 478-3116 for the next half hour, 478-3116. I refer to our friend Ivan Struckle. Good morning, Ivan.
Hey, Don, thanks so much. And we are also videotaping this for our Blab TV customers. So if you're watching this, it's probably not a live show, but we are live on 1370 Talk Radio. And what we help you with is the value of your car. So if you're looking at perhaps selling your car yourself, or if you're looking at perhaps maybe trading a car or buying a new car, this is the show to call in, 478-3116, and we will help you with the value. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can get your own value without contacting us. You go on the internet, you plug in used car values. You're going to find an Edmunds, Kelly, and an consumer's version of the NADA. The reason you want to call Frontier Motors is because the books that we use are a little bit different than the books that you find on the internet. Now, why do we use different books? People always ask me that, because why don't you use the ones out on the internet? Well, one reason we don't is because our bankers, our credit unions, and our insurance companies that talk about replacement value don't use those books. They use an official NADA guidebook, which I have, which I subscribe to and have before me right now. We also use, in the car business, we use a Black Wholesale Guidebook, and the Black Wholesale Guidebook gives us an idea of what's going on the wholesale end of the market. This is compiled by data from the auctions, and primarily the largest auction chain in the nation, I think actually in the world, is the Manheim auction chain owned by Cox Communication. We do have a Manheim auction right here in Pensacola on W Street, and they run on Tuesday. The second largest auction is in Orlando, which also happens to run on Tuesday, and they have anywhere from 3,500 to 5,500 cars just in that one location. In the South here, there's about 15 different locations just in our vicinity within driving distance. And the reason I bring that up is it gives me the ability to pull all that data out of those auctions, and it goes into one program that I subscribe to, that I can see what a particular car is selling for. And isn't that really what's important when I quote a customer a value on their car? If I know what I can buy a car for at the auction, for example, if I know I can buy a car at the auction for $20,000 wholesale, let's say the book value on Edmunds, for example, that you get off the internet says the value of the vehicle in excellent condition is $25,000. But let's say in excellent condition, they're going at the auctions for $20,000. So if I buy one at the auction, there's some fees that have to be paid. You have to pay the auction fee. You have to pay the buyer that actually physically buys the vehicle. You have to pay for shipping and get it back here. You have to pay for any type of reconditioning if you change the oil, if you order an extra key, if you need an owner's manual. All that overhead gets put onto that vehicle. And so let's just say hypothetically that's $1,000. And let's say a dealer marks the vehicle up between $1,500 and $2,000. So if I'm buying the car for $20,000 as an example, I've got $21,000 in it with the overhead and the shipping. If I marked it up $2,000, that would bring it at $23,000. So if you use the Edmunds book in this particular case, which is $25,000, you'd be paying $2,000 too much. I had this happen the other day with a customer that called me up and said, hey, I found, and they heard us on the radio show, and plus they're also a previous customer, so I think that's the major reason they called us, because their daughter wanted a car, and they found a BMW at one of the local used car dealers, and they wanted my opinion on this particular car. And by the way, folks, we do this for anybody, not just previous customers. If you're in the market for a car and you find a car somewhere, even if it's not a Frontier Motors, we urge you to call us in. And this is what this lady did. She gave me the 17-digit ID number of the car. She told me the miles. I actually was able to use the ID number and go right to the website of the dealer that had that car. So I could find out what they were saying about the car. I could find out a lot of things about the car that I didn't know from her texting me. And that's the color of the car. And believe it or not, folks, the color of the car makes a difference. And I'll give you an example, and I don't want to pick on people that like purple or like pink, but a purple or a pink or a bright lime green car will sell for less at the auction than if you buy a pearl white one or a silver or a champagne or even a black one. And that's not true when you buy them brand new. If you buy a purple car brand new, it's just as much as the pearl white one. So, but when they become used, it depends on how many people on the average would shy away from that car based on the color. So the color is important. And this particular car was a BMW that was black, which actually is not a bad color on a BMW. On some vehicles, it's not that good of a color. For example, small economy cars like a Nissan Versa or a Corolla don't sell that good in black. So I'm able to buy those a little bit cheaper. But on a BMW or a Lexus or a higher line car, that's a pretty popular color. One thing I noted is that the dealer was asking $25,400 for the car, $25,495. So let's say $25,500. In my research, that car was going between $20,000 and $21,000 in excellent condition at the auction. So I told her, I said, don't pay any more than $23,000 for the car because I could buy that car, bring it home, and mark it up a little bit, still make some money on it, and sell it for $25,000. So I felt that dealer had the car overpriced by $2,495. The other thing I noticed when I ran the history report on the car, which is the Carfax and the Auto Check. There's two history reports. By the way, Frontier Motors provides history reports at no charge. Carfax these days, which most people are aware of because they're the prominent one, they do the most advertising. So most people are aware of, don't buy before you run a Carfax. They're $40 plus tax, so it's pretty expensive. $40, so that's about $43 to run a Carfax. And I think for about, last time I checked, for like $65, you could run 4 of them. And then if you paid like $99, you could run like 20 of them because you never know how many cars you're going to look at. So you hate to just buy one and find out it's a bad history report and then have to pay again for the next car that you do. So you don't pay nothing. You call Frontier Motors and we'll run that Carfax report for you. We'll also run the Auto Check, which is the second largest provider of history reports in the nation. You always want to run 2 just to make sure that the information is the same. Every once in a while, I'll get a major accident on a particular car. And this happened the other day where the Carfax just said accident reported. So when it says that, you don't know what it was. Did the guy hit a mailbox on the way back and out of the driveway and had $500 worth of damage, which is no big deal. That is not going to affect the value of the car. But when we ran the Auto Check, it said major damage reported, airbags deployed, vehicle had to be towed. Now, the Carfax didn't go into that description, which is unusual because Carfax normally has more history than the Auto Check. But in this particular case, it made me aware of the major accident, and obviously that makes a difference when you appraise the car. And I never tell people just because the car's been in a major accident doesn't make it worthless. I know most people right now that are listening to the show say, well, I wouldn't buy a car with a major accident, but we've taken cars in trade that have had major accidents. I don't buy them either. Why would I buy a car with a major accident? But I've taken them in trade, but I have appraised them accordingly. And I also make sure I get a major inspection from either a body shop or a qualified technician that not just walks around it, but also puts the vehicle on the rack, puts it up in the air so they can go underneath of it to make sure everything was fixed properly. Don't forget, when somebody has a major accident and they have good insurance company coverage, and especially if they go to a dealer to get the fix, and I shouldn't say there's a lot of independent body shops that are phenomenal, and use authorized parts. Don't forget, that car gets brand new parts, which is a plus. So if hypothetically the car's 5 years old and it gets a major accident and they fix it with brand new parts, wouldn't that car be worth more money? Because it just has brand new parts, but that's not how the public looks at it. Anyways, I run both history reports. Getting back to the BMW story, I noticed that it was a clean history report. This particular BMW was a lease return car, so it was a 3-year lease. The person had turned it in. Those cars go to the auction. The dealer bought at the auction. They took it back to the dealership, and they were selling it at the dealership for $25,499. But I noticed that with this car only having 25,000 miles, It had tires exchanged with 9,000 miles. Brand new tires were added. It had new tires added with 17,000 miles. And right before the dealer, actually right after the dealer bought this at the auction, they put new tires on it again at 25,000 miles. That put up a red flag in my book, folks. Clean history report, no major issues, but 3 sets of tires with 25,000 miles on it. That would make me a little bit nervous that this car probably has some kind of a problem with wearing out tires, because tires on a BMW should last somewhere between 35 and 55,000 miles. I'm talking about the original factory tires. So when I look at history reports, it's not just accidents or flood damage or things like that that I look for. People always say one owner. I really don't get the big deal with one owner or 2 owners or 3 owners. If I find a 3-owner car and it's absolutely flawless, and every owner is taking care of this car, and all the oil changes have been done on time, all of the certifications that it needs, that 15,000 and 30,000 and 45,000 have been done, I would buy that car in a heartbeat over a 1-owner car that didn't take care of the car at all. So I don't put so much emphasis on how many owners it has as I do as far as the service maintenance on the vehicle and anything that might show up that would put up a flag. And I had this happen about 6 months ago on a Mercedes that was relatively new. It was about a 2-year-old car, but this 2-year-old Mercedes under factory warranty has had 5 batteries installed. I don't know if, Don, if that would make you a little nervous, but
it does.
It
Yeah,
would. Now,
would.
the customer didn't pay for it, but that means the customer made 5 trips to the dealer for one problem, and it's kind of obvious. You don't have to be Bobby Likas to figure out this car has a drain, and they can't figure out what the drain is on this particular car. So now this car's up for auction. I actually had a customer looking for a car like this, and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, boy, the auction rated this car really high because they don't put emphasis on that. They look at how the car's physical condition is, make sure it hasn't been in an accident, and make sure it's not dinged up, scratched up, smoked in. So the auction rates these cars from 0 being awful to 5, like in our scale, being a 10. So they rate them from 0 to 5. Now, if I look at a car, if it's not a 4.5 or above, I don't even check it out. I don't buy cars and make them nice. I want to buy nice cars and resell them to people that would rather have a car like that. But this particular car had 5 batteries installed, even though it was rated a 5. So I got scared of it because I didn't know if they had fixed it properly or not. And these are things that you should be careful of when you're purchasing a used car from either a new car dealer selling a used car or from an independent dealer like Frontier Motors. And that's why we do at Frontier Motors what most people don't do, or most dealerships don't do, and that's take time to guide you to make the right decision. Now, why would we do this if you're not buying it from us? You found a car somewhere else. It's not because we want to kink the other dealer's deal. And I'll tell you what, if the other dealer has a good deal, we're going to tell you. Let's just say hypothetically this BMW that this lady found for her daughter was priced at $23,000, or maybe she could negotiate this $25,000 car down to $23,000 and didn't have the issue with the tires because the vehicle still had 13 months of warranty left. I would say go ahead and buy it. It's a 1-owner car. There's no tire issues. At 25,000 miles, the tires should still be good. Most tires don't wear out between 35 and 50,000. I had a vehicle that we took in trade. This was a couple years ago, and the customer was trading it in with 65,000 miles on. And when he called up before he came in, he told me that his tires were like brand new. And I said, there is no possible way. This happened to be a Lincoln MKX. If you don't know what that is, folks, that is the equivalent of a Ford Edge in the Lincoln version, which is a mid-size SUV. Customer was going to trade the vehicle in, had told us the tires were like brand new. And I said, well, when did you put new tires on? He said, well, I haven't. I said, what do you mean you haven't? He said, no, they're original tires. I said, it's not possible. I've been in the car business since I was 15 years old. This has never happened. Well, you know what? The guy pulled up. Tires were not even 50% worn. I would have no problem selling this car to the next individual based on the amount of miles that were on these tires because they looked very, very good in an older person's car. It's not anymore because they're really cool looking. Heck, you could buy a 2018 Honda Accord LX for that price. You could buy an 18 Sonata for that price. You could buy a pretty nice 4-door car. And as an example, an 18 Sonata has a 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty. This BMW she was looking at had 13 months left on the warranty. So what's the better deal? Well, some people would take the BMW. Why would they take that? Especially if the equipment was the same, because it says BMW on the side. It's a status symbol. And I'm not sure, but when you're 18 years old, I think that the status symbol is pretty important to you. You know, as far as being able to drive that BMW. Well, what do you drive? You're talking to your friends. Well, I drive a Beetle. Well, what do you drive? I got a Ford Focus. Well, what do you got? Well, I got a BMW 325 or 328, whatever it is.
1968 Dodge Lancer station wagon. Just didn't get it, does it?
Mine was at 16 a 62 Carmen Ghia.
Mm-hmm.
No, so I mean we've got all those war stories, Don, but they're not pertinent anymore, Don.
No, they are not.
These young kids don't care about the fact that we actually had to buy our own car. Daddy didn't buy us insurance, you know.
Right.
The only thing my dad ever helped with when I bought my first real car, which happened to be a '69 Firebird, is he said that if you have no bad credit, which I didn't, he said back then you had to have a cosigner.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually did co-sign for me. Now, I had to have my own down payment.
Right.
I had to have the ability to buy the car by myself, but he co-signed in case I defaulted on the loan, which back then you did that one time.
Yeah.
You know, and he did it for me, and I made all the payments on time, so he didn't get burned.
Right. But you got to insure it, maintain it, and keep it fueled.
It was all mine. It was mine. And when I got into an accident, which I did, I had to pay the deductible. I didn't have the money for the deductible. I had to borrow it, but I got it, you know, and I paid that back. But I'm just saying is that the things have changed a little bit. And I think that if you're a practical 18-year-old, you could get a much newer car. And if the parents were listening to the show, which they might be, my suggestion would be I would go with that Camry all day long, even against maybe what the daughter wanted, based on the fact that you're going to have pretty much, well, the warranty on a Camry is 3 years, 36,000 miles. But the Sonata, for example, or if you go with the Kia product, which is an Optima, a beautiful midsize four-door sedan, 2018 model I'm talking about, with maybe 10,000 miles on, would have the warranty of up to 60,000 miles. So if she's going to use this to go to college, which was the intent, I believe, and she's going to be gone for 4 years, hopefully she's going to pass and be out of there in 4 years, this car will have warranty for the whole time frame. Now, wouldn't that make more sense if you're a parent? By the way, if you do want to join us, and if you got any questions, 478-3116. I do have the Consumers Reports with me, so I can give you an idea of what the ratings are on particular brands of cars, if you have any questions on that. But I want to get the word out for you listeners out there that there is a dealership that you can stop in. You're not wasting our time by asking, even if you think they're stupid questions. We're going to have the answers to them. Frontier Motors has been there for 22 years answering questions for customers, whether they buy from us or whether they go somewhere else. Don, do we have a call?
This is Teresa.
Hey, Teresa, thanks for calling the show. How can we help you?
Yes, sir. I was wondering if I could get your opinion or your thoughts on Toyota Tundras. I'm looking at a 2015 and a 2016.
Okay. Well, my thoughts on the Tundra pickup truck itself is I feel that between the Tundra and the F-150, those are the two top-rated trucks. We just got the new Consumers Reports in, and both of them were the top-rated ones. I think the Chevrolet and the GMC were the lowest-rated. Well, actually, the Nissan Titan, the Chevy, and the GMC were the lowest. So, from my experience, not just reading the magazines, Teresa, I've loved selling Tundras because I very rarely ever have a customer that comes back and says, hey, I've got a transmission problem. My transmission went out with 80,000 miles. You know, those things just don't hardly ever happen on a Toyota. So I definitely would recommend them. I think the new body style on the Toyota was around 11. So I think the body styles between the 15 and 16 are pretty much the same. I don't think there's a lot of change on them. So are you thinking about pricing the vehicle? Have you found one yet?
I actually did Saturday.
Okay.
And I was thinking that maybe I would give you all a call and get an information on it.
Which one did you find? Is it the 15 or the 16, Teresa?
It is a 16.
All right, let's just do the 16, give you an idea. So you got Toyota Tundra 16 model. And do you know what model it is? Is it an SR5? Is it a Limited, a Platinum? And is it a double cab or a crew cab? Do you know?
It is a four-door.
Okay.
Um,
Two-wheel drive?
It's a two-wheel, four-wheel drive. It's actually a four-wheel.
Okay, and it's an SR5, so it doesn't have leather.
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, so so it's probably a limited because the limiteds are the ones that come with leather.
The sticker on the truck says I-Force
Okay,
5.7 liter V8.
okay. So let's just assume it's a limited for a minute because the I-Force just means it's a V8 engine, which they do make a couple of different motors. How many miles were on it?
See, I'm looking at the picture that I took on the inside, and it says 26,208.
Okay, so pretty low miles for a 16. Actually, about average when you think about it. So it's going to come. The only options now. Does it have the navigation system?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's going to be a limited because the limited comes standard with navigation. So the only thing that it adds for, if it's going to have a trailer hitch on it, and if it's going to have the TRD off-road package, which normally would be a sticker on the side of the bed. Do you remember if it's got that?
Yes, sir, it does. I just passed that
Okay,
picture.
good. All right.
It does.
So I'm going to book it out for you right now, and Teresa, and it's going to say that it's going to say loan value is $32,000 and retail is $37,800. Now, what that means, Teresa, is that loan value normally is supposed to be wholesale. That and sometimes I've got to look at 2 or 3 different books to double check that. But if I was going to guess, and the reason I don't want you to tell me what they're asking for it, because I'm going to guess based on what I'm seeing here, that I would tell you that this vehicle is going to have a decent price at about $35,000 is what I think that I could get a vehicle like this for. In that price range, give or take $1,000. Now, tell me what they told you they'd sell it for.
They're going 38.9.
Yeah. See, and that's over, unless there's something I don't know, maybe some aftermarket things that, like, for example, if they jack it up and put big wheels and tires on it, that's going to make a difference on the price. But based on what I'm seeing here, full retail, if you paid full retail and no discount, is $37,800. So let's say you love the truck. I mean, I just love it. I got to have it. I love the color. I love everything about it. You definitely don't want to pay over retail for anything. I mean, I don't.
Right.
I'm trying to buy.
I know I don't want to either.
Yeah. So I'm looking at now, Teresa, what I would do for you is if you call the dealership, ask for one of the sales managers, let us do a little bit more research for you, because what I need to do, and I don't have time to do it on the radio show here, I need to get into the auction reports to make sure this NADA book that I'm using right now, that those figures are correct, because I don't want to steer you wrong. Let's just say hypothetically I pulled up the auction reports and they're all selling for $35,000 at the auction. Well, I wouldn't tell you could buy one for $35,000 because you got to pay the auction fees and you got to pay a profit. So then $38,000 wouldn't be that bad. But based on what I'm looking at, just looking at one book, I could buy this vehicle for somewhere between $32,000 and $34,000. So I'm thinking I should be able to quote you somewhere between $35,000 and $36,000. But I would want to double check that before I tell you that. But that's what I'm looking at right now. And just call Frontier Motors, just Google it and just get right in there. Ask for a sales manager and tell them to do the double check to see what we could sell your car for. Now, that doesn't mean you have to buy it from us, but you want that information when you go back to your dealer that you found the vehicle at, and you want to say, hey, I called Frontier Motors, and they said they can get me this vehicle if we don't already have it on the lot, because I think we have 4 or 5 Tundras. But let's just say we don't have anything you want, and you really like this dealer, and you really like the vehicle, then at least you can tell them, this is what Frontier Motors said they can sell me that vehicle for. And I'll tell you what, if you come down to that price, I'll go ahead and buy it from you. So you can use that to help yourself negotiate a good deal.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling the show, folks. And this doesn't take a long time. This is a process that takes maybe 5 minutes. If she called, and Teresa, if you're still listening, if you call us with the ID number, that 17-digit, and they'll have that on their website, that would make it so much easier for us, because then what we can do is, they probably ran a Carfax for you, but we're going to run that auto check. If you've been listening to the show, you want to make sure you run both of them. So don't just use one.
For free.
For free, no charge. So we're going to do all this research for you, and we're going to give you and I'll tell you what, if 38's a good deal, I'm going to tell you, hey, you know what? I was wrong. 38's a good deal on this vehicle. But again, if my information is right and I can buy this car for $32,000, you're going to be looking at more like the 35 to 36 range, and I'm still making pretty good money on it. So you want to use that information just to make sure you don't pay too much. And the other thing we can do for Teresa, if she happens to have a vehicle that she has driving right now, she might think in the back of her mind, well, I'm going to either maybe trade it or sell it myself. Why not let us give you a figure on that vehicle? Because, folks, when we sell at Frontier Motors 200 to 250 units a month, guess what we have to do? We have to buy 200 and 250 units a month. Now, let's say we take 50 of those units on trade. That means I'm still 200 units short. So I've got to buy a lot of vehicles, and I'd rather buy them from private individuals like yourself. Let's say you're going to buy a brand new car, and I can't talk you out of it. You know, our whole claim to fame Matter of fact, well, I've got some time. We've got about 5 minutes left. Let me tell you what Dave Ramsey talks about Frontier Motors.
Hey, Dave Ramsey here. Whether you're on baby step 1 or baby step 7, my advice when it comes to buying a car has been the same. Don't buy new. Consumer Reports last year put into writing that a new car depreciates 27% in the first 12 months.
Wow.
On an average price $34,000 new car, that's roughly a $9,200 loss in the first year alone. Here's what you should do instead. Go see my friends at Frontier Motors. They specialize in great used cars that still look and smell like new. Frontier Motors offers over 400 of these vehicles in stock in one location. What sets these guys apart from a regular car dealership is that they make the hated process of buying a car a stress-free experience. They're one of the few dealers that will give you a bottom line out-the-door price in writing. It's not very easy finding an honest car dealer, but I know you'll be treated right when you shop at Frontier Motors. Tell them Dave Ramsey sent you.
And you wouldn't believe how many people come in and say, Dave Ramsey sent me, and I'm here to sell you my car. They're not even interested in buying a car because what they're doing is they're going from a 3-car family down to 2, or maybe 2 to 1, or maybe they got a company car, or maybe they're just going to take a bicycle. But they don't want to mess with putting the car on Craigslist based on the fact that there's a lot of issues that are involved with retailing your own car. One of them is the transaction itself. One of them is people want to take your car for a ride. Second thing is being able to get the money for the car. And a lot of times they have a trade-in, and you're not going to want to take a trade. So we're getting the word out right now that, folks, if you've got a car you want to dispense of, take 15 minutes, drive it to Frontier Motors. We've got 3 appraisers on duty. We actually have 5 appraisers, but 3 of them are always there. And the reason we have 3 of them there, we want to make sure we can get you in and out in a matter of minutes. And that really is important. So call us or stop us, and we will give you, I can do a value over the phone. I can't buy your car over the phone, but I can give you a value less any reconditioning. So that makes it very simple. We've only got about a minute left, so I want to let everybody know out there that, as I've done before, that Frontier Motors is the home of free advice. That's what we do. You'll notice I haven't talked about any cars. I haven't talked about deals. I haven't talked about any sale, because none of those things, other than the deal, none of those things you're going to see at Frontier Motors. Our claim to fame is that we give very good deals every day. Doesn't have to be a Memorial Day sale. Doesn't have to be a Midnight Madness sale or something mailer you get in the mail. This is the fact that we've got really nice cars in really good condition that we give you very fair prices on. And if our price is the same as the other dealers, it's normally going to be because our car is in better condition, or our car has more equipment or less miles. And that all comes together for the best possible deal. Check out our website. We've got 380 cars in stock right now. Check us out on YouTube right now. You can go to YouTube and put in Frontier Motors, and you'll see the show if you want. If you want to share it with somebody else, and just check out us on Facebook too. I'll put all of our cars in our inventory on Facebook. Again, thanks for watching, and also thanks for listening and calling in. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead.